kids? What's going on? This is Hexray Vision coming to you live from the west wing of the Beast's Castle at Rags to Riches house. This is where they keep the rose that Belle has to get a hold of at the end, if you guys have seen that. Sorry, spoiler alert. Anyways, this is sponsored by the Texan token, obviously, since we're chilling with Rags.
Oh, this is cool. Check that out.
Yeah.
There we go. This is Streamception going on here. But we've got two very special guests that everyone's been going crazy about. We have half of Axis's army in the chat already because there's a lot of unwrenched homies. And then, of course, Crypto Compassion brings his own fam to the table. So let's have you guys introduce yourselves, Compassion first, and then Access, for anyone who doesn't know you guys yet.
Yeah, just Crypto Compassion here, John. I'm out here in Oregon. I'm kind of disappointed I couldn't come out and kick up some dust with you, the birthday boy here, and party with you. But, just kind of cross-chain crypto, PulseChain, Hex, all that kind of stuff. Been around the community for a while. Just having fun. Real excited about what's happening in the community, all the builders, and excited to be here. Have fun.
My name's Brandon.
Oh, Brandon.
They found me in a ditch last night and convinced me to stream this afternoon. And, I'm here right now and glad to be here. Thanks for having me. Otherwise known as Rags to Riches. Thanks, guys.
And how about you, Axis? Go
What's
ahead.
going on,
introduce
everybody
yourself.
in the chat? Thanks for having me, Hexray. If you don't know me, I've started in Bitcoin and Ethereum mining forever ago now. It was like 2017. And we're coming up on our fourth cycle, actually. So I run a little website. We do some TA. Got a nice group of folks a lot of you guys are in the chat. Appreciate the support. Just happy to be here and, lend any advice or any things I'm seeing in the markets to the conversation today.
Awesome. Great to have you. Yeah, like you said, you've got quite the following. We've got Compassion in the comments as well. We got Hex Clips in the house. This is going to be a good one. MFS, Face in Reality. What's up, buddy? Red Squirrel, Oi Oi Pops, Moon Mutt, J Pond, Mexican Army, Fast Abdul, Phobia FX. I got Adam, which should be joining us as well. Keza, and of course Axis, and me, Karo Prong, and Godfather J6 is in the house as well. Very happy. Before we get started, we did want to show you guys these awesome tattoos that we were giving out last night. We were putting them on strangers' necks and faces and arms. It just has Brandon's. I wish I could get a little closer, but it's a sweet picture of Brandon making a crazy face. Says "Happy Birthday, dude." So
Mark of the Beast.
You should go grab the big head and hold it up.
Well, that's what Adam's got, the big head. So we're waiting for Adam to bring up the big head. We had a giant head printout of Rags everywhere we went. That was very, very entertaining as well. We got Super Snake in the house, and of course, Team Win. Thanks, Face in Reality, and Crypto Mining Ranch. What's up, buddy? All right, so we've had a lot of crazy stuff happening in the market this week. A lot of stuff coming to life that wasn't alive, and then some stuff that we thought was coming back alive that's take a couple hits. What do you guys think about this week in the market?
What particular facet are you talking about in general, like Bitcoin, Ethereum, PulseChain?
Mostly PulseChain. There's a few places on PulseChain that are coming back to life and getting some liquidity that's moved over that we haven't seen before, which is really nice. And then, of course, we've had some people taking some profits already with these little spikes up on a couple of coins. So go ahead if you guys have anything you want to add about that or anything that you're keeping an eye on right now, either on Ethereum or PulseChain or any chain, really.
Well, hats off to, Brandon and his birthday, but I would say, hey, Texan's ripping. We got that chart's looking pretty well, and I think that's waking up. And Access, you get your own coin, and it's doing its thing. But yeah, I'm excited to see what features get rolled out on PulseX also. I think that's a sleeping giant that's just kind of sitting there that someone's timing all those features to be rolled out when the time is right.
Yeah. Man, there's there's like a lot of interesting little plays going on. One thing that happened in the last couple of weeks, I don't know if you guys heard about that ZKZX trade.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of our guys were in that within the first like hour, and it like went up and did like thousands and thousands of percent move. Some of these guys that were in the group could have realized like a 200 plus X, but they sold too soon. And I mean, that's kind of the devastating fact of altcoins is like you see it go up 10X or 20X and it's like, oh, it's got to be topped. But you know, if it's launched in a certain way, and this is something that the Axis token kind of proved is if it's launched in a certain way and the distributions like and the distribution and that initial demand that comes in is organic, like you can get like this crazy movement that happens on like such a fast time frame. It's kind of hard to predict how high that stuff can go. And I mean, like it was like probably one out of 100 coins that'll be, you know, doing that this cycle or this year. I mean, just like, you know, there's a lot of them that do, you know, a 10 or 20X and then they fizzle. But this one was just like crazy to watch it all play out. I'm pretty sure Richard follows that Twitter handle. So that was fun to watch. It was fun to see that Texan got a nice bump earlier in the week. It's been a couple weeks of pump now.
Mm-hmm.
And Titan X, I think, started to like squeak out, maybe go do some sideways ranging action. Maybe there's a chance there that you get some kind of like double or triple bottom there. At least I'm hoping for the Titan X guys. But I wouldn't be surprised to see it go down 50% either. So just because of how the system's set up. But that Dragon X protocol is like supposedly doing some damage, and I know Kool-Aid and friends are building some sort of a Rube Goldberg machine to help bring that value from Titan X over to PulseChain. And then my favorite coin that I've been talking about lately has been Communist. I think Communist is a sleeper. When you're looking at all the derivatives for Hex, it's like the most under. I know it's hard to say because of how down Hedron and Icosa were relative to Hex, but yeah, Com was worse. So you'd have to, in order to become like a whale in Com right now, you need to buy a percent of the supply. But to get that percent of supply, you're paying like $40,000 to $45,000. Like I think it was like 41,000 last I checked. And that moves fast because it's ranging inside of like a 250% window. So like the volatility is just absolutely insane on Com right now, because the way that the inflation works for Com is you'd have to stake 32 million hex for 15 years to get 1% of the supply back from the start bonus. So you lock up 3,000 T-shares, you get 1,000 T-shares worth of Com now. And the other 2,000 T-shares worth of Com plus an additional 1,000, the other 75% of the Com reward gets actually pushed out 15 years. So you have to stake away 500 grand of hex for 15 years to get 1%, to inflate the supply by 1%. And I think what it's going to do is it's just going to lead to this phenomenon where more and more hex gets staked up to chase that as the Com price goes higher, because as the Com price goes higher, you're getting more value back from staking long. And the way it's set up right now, there's 25 wallets that have 55% of the entire supply. And those guys don't seem, based on the chain analysis, like they want to sell their whale positions. It seems like, if anything, they're accumulating more and strengthening the LP pools. So what I could see happening here is like these 25 top wallets, they just corner the market and they get 80, 90% of the Com supply, and then they mark the price up 50 to 100x, which incentivizes people to buy hex, stake it long, get the Com value back. And if that Com value gets high enough, you can start getting back like 10% of a stake's value, 20% of a stake's value. Even imagine one day you're getting like 25% of a stake's value back, and you go and you stake, you know, 500 grand out for 15 years, but you're getting like $100,000 or $125,000 back in Com rewards immediately from the start bonus. Like, people are really letting Com go under the radar, and I'm just telling people now that chart is no joke, and that thing has a lot of potential because of these different circumstances in the tokenomics.
Awesome. Thanks for bringing that in there. And of course, If you guys and want to share your screen or charts or anything, we're open to that as well. We did have Super Snake say, "What do you guys think about the statement? eHex must pump back to pre-Pulse launch before PulseChain can ever drop a zero."
Well, we just dropped a zero on Pulse, and in terms of the ratio, eHex is still where it was before the first pump, the Alex Whale pump. If you guys remember, this whale pumped the price 3x in a week, and somehow the ratio of eHex came all the way back down to the bottom of the channel, and here we are. eHex is like just under shy of a penny, but Pulse ran up and knocked a zero off. It actually went up from like 4 zeros and a 4 at the lows, or it was a little bit less, all the way up to like 3 zeros and a 1.5. What is that? 4, 8, 12. It's like a 3.5x. From seeing Ecom do, I think it was a 3x, right? So Ecom started it with a 3x, and then in the preceding 80 days, Pulse did a 3x to chase. So your theory might be right that you could see, Ecom just rips, and that value then is lent to the Pulse chain. That's definitely a possibility because the ratio of both the hexes is really come down quite a bit in Pulse terms. So it's one way this can play out. You can't ignore what PulseX and Ink are doing either now, because Hex and eHex have been unfavorable for the last like 90 days in terms of the ratio trade, but PulseX and Ink became the new hot commodity. So the good news is that there's always going to be a cheap RH token somewhere during different periods of time, and yeah, you just assume that money will rotate into the cheapest one first, and then everything will pump off the back of that initial move of liquidity. And so long as there's more money being injected into the system through the bridge, and the valuation is flowing around in a circuit, like a loop, more and more value will accrue, and all these valuations can go up on the Pulse chain every time attention shifts toward the best ratio. So yeah, definitely could see that as a possibility.
Yeah, let's talk about the bridge for a second, because honestly, we're either going to have a lot of economic energy coming through bridges, or you're going to have a lot of people going directly in through an on-ramp like Coast into the Pulse system, a Pulse ecosystem, right? And so I know a lot of people have been watching big wallets moving and positioning money that they believe is coming over large amounts of DAI, large amounts of ETH. Have you guys been keeping your eye on what you guys think is going to get ready to bridge into PulseChain?
You're muted.
RG3 always talks about a lot of these OTC moves in Bitcoin and what have you, and taking a good eye at, there you go, weekend at Bernie's, huh? All that activity that's going on in the backgrounds that we know is coming. And so much of this there are some huge whale moves, that's no doubt about what the Pulse chain is about to become. And it's people just waiting for that position, that confirmation that it's time to go.
Yeah, I mean, I'm specifically to big whale moves getting prepped to come across the bridge. Not too much to say publicly, but like just more keep an eye on the bridge, because you'll be able to see the net inflows, and it might mean something bigger is happening. A lot of the value that got bridged in is sitting in the stability pools. It's sitting in the LP pools in different varieties of like stable versus stable. So it like protects the system and grows it in value. There's a lot of money to be made pairing stable coins against each other to just get the small arbitrage. I know, and if your bags are big enough, that's meaningful in fees. So that kind of like just like creates a concrete floor of value here on the chain. And so yeah, I mean, I've noticed that one thing that's occurring is USDL is at all-time highs. Like we have 31 million. I'm sorry. $31 million of USDL on-chain native stablecoins that have been created. And there's other protocols coming down the pipe to lock up more Pulse supply to create that native, stablecoin value on the chain to give us a shot to, that we won't be so just completely reliant on one bridge to bring in value. But you will continue to see that, basically we doubled the bridge value from the previous lows. We went from like 68 million to now we went up to as high as 128 million. So we've added like 50 to 60 million dollars of value. Well, yeah, a little around that. It was like a 2x. So I would expect that during the next leg up, you'd probably get maybe another 2x on the value, which would bring us up to like $240 million of value on the bridge. And that's when shit gets real.
Adam, what do you think is going to the firmament here? We're going to get you talking.
Everything, bro. Everything in the ecosystem. I've been talking to a couple people lately about 4 years ago when Richard Hart and Hex and Uniswap created DeFi Summit. And it just feels like right now with PDI, Atropa, with A1A, B2B, so many different projects, PTGC, like I feel like DeFi 2.0 is happening right now, and we're going to look back on this time in another year and say this is what created, this latest DeFi boom. I think ETH 2 is being suppressed right now. You don't hear anything about it in the mainstream. I think when that starts to shift, alts are going to run, more money will inevitably bridge over to PulseChain and, Hart's Law too, and everything that's paired with PulseChain will start to run with it. So I'm just excited, man, for everything that's coming. Everyone that's stuck here throughout the bear market, put in the work, did that research. I think you're about to be rewarded.
Yeah, Axis, I heard you mention Kool-Aid, and don't fade what that guy's doing with that team. And it's going to be interesting what they're bringing over to PulseChain. I think that could be an interesting play. I love picking that guy's brain. He's definitely a galaxy cosmic cowboy in himself, and there's something going on there that could be interesting for PulseChain.
Yeah, bring us up up to speed on your coin, Axis, and then feel free to pull up a chart if you want to, and explain to us what made you want to found your own coin and the ideals behind it.
Well, I never wanted to build a coin before. Originally, I just thought it was a good opportunity to educate people on something when I could see what I could see in a project like that. The way it was launched, it was like a coin that was stealth launched, so nobody really knew it existed. And it was, what we've seen out of that is that organically the market decided to adopt it, because it could have just as likely not been adopted. But, the point of it was that it is a very limited and ultra scarce supply, which is important because it creates more of a pure chart that allows you to very easily read the blockchain and see different wallets entry and exit. So because there's no inflation per se, or the inflation is so small, it's not that important to track it. It gives you a really pure chart pattern, and I'll pull up the chart just so we can look at it for a second. But what it does is so if I'm trying to teach people about the difference between the pulse, the importance of measuring against pulse, or the difference of measuring against the dollar, it does a really good job of explaining it. And so I always go back to something that happened very, very early on in the chart, which was back in this period here. Let me go to a 4 hour. That might be better. Something like this. So I'll go to a linear scale, and we'll look at July 31st here on the chart. So in July 31st, the price had done nothing but go straight up for the first 3 days, 16 hours. And then all of a sudden here on this candle, you can see the volume. There was only $105 of volume here on July 31st. And so the question was so why did the chart go down like that against the dollar? and you can we'll measure it here in a second. I got to get to the hourly because it'll give us more resolution on this. But so this candle here, this was when the SEC crash happened. So because Axis was getting its USD, so what's the topic of at interest here? The topic at interest is denominations and denominating your world and updating your worldview. So in cryptocurrency, you only really want to measure your coin in the native asset. So if you're playing around on Ethereum and you're on an ERC20, you want to measure its performance against ETH or wrapped ETH. And then on PulseChain, if you're playing around looking at PRC20s, you want to measure their performance against Pulse. And that's because a lot of these coins, they're not getting their value from, or they're not getting their USD denominated value from stable coins that's backing them. They're getting them from the ratio between how many coins can I get of your coin for how much Pulse. And so you just figure the numbers between there and you'll find out that, like, let's say if one Axis right now is 155 million Pulse. Well, what is one Pulse worth times 155 million? That's going to give you the dollar price. So whatever the 155 million Pulse is worth in DAI, for example, or stablecoin, times 155 million, that's going to be how you come up with that USD price. So what I want to bring up here is, like, on the USD chart, the price went down 41.9, so 42% on the SEC crash. But if we pull up the PLS version of it, you'll notice in that same period of time, on July 31st, which is right here, this green candle is the same exact candle as that red candle was against the dollar. And the reason why that's green against Pulse but red against the USD is because the USD price of Pulse dropped minus 63% right here. So in Pulse, Pulse price dropped minus 63%, but the Axis price went up plus 20% in Pulse terms. So the net here is like a 42% difference. Or I'm sorry, a 20% difference. So you get that minus 40% in dollar value, because you got to add the 20% gain against Pulse terms, but you got to reduce the 63% drop in Pulse dollar terms. So then you come up with a net minus 40% in dollar terms from the same movement. So if you have a good market maker on your coin, and this is why this coin's the perfect educational tool, is because you can go back and see the actual proof of it. This went down 40%, and on this other little tiny candle combined, it went down 41.97%. So even though it was going down here against the dollar, really in matter of fact, it was actually going up in Pulse terms, and that's all you want to do is measure your Pulse performance when you're looking at a coin, because anyone that looks at the dollar chart, they're missing part of the data set that you need to determine whether or not an asset is doing what you think it's doing. And so, like, then you can talk about, like, the whole world denominates their world in dollars. And so most people are going to come and pull up the Axis chart and see this on dollar terms, which looks really, really good. But, like, for example, a trader wouldn't buy up here because it looks like a lower high and then it might come down in price. But when you flip to the PLS pair, you get a whole different picture. You're seeing it's starting to create a rounded bottom here against Pulse. So this setup looks better than the dollar setup. The dollar setup looks like it wants to roll over, whereas this setup looks like it wants to try to form a base. It looks like it's trying to protect these levels in Pulse value, around 135 million to 150 million is where it wants to try to find support based on these wick lows, this kind of like interchange of a battle for bullish and bearishness, and then the recovery level. There was a lot of a battle at that level, and then when that flipped, it's now been flipped to support. So even a retest at that level, I would expect that to hold just based on the technical setup against the Pulse pair. Whereas on the dollar pair, again, you can see that it definitely looks like it wants to come down because Pulse looks like it wants to come down. So if I flip over to the Pulse chart, you see how it's just got this rounded shape right now, just like it's doing to the Axis dollar chart. So the Pulse chart is influencing what the dollar price chart looks like on Axis right now. But the Pulse price is actually looking quite bullish at the same time. So this is where decorrelation comes in, and a coin can like totally decorrelate away from the broader market, and it can give you signals through the Pulse pricing that you would otherwise not get from just looking at the dollar chart.
That's really interesting. Those were some really good points you made, and actually a lot of information you gave out there. With it being a stealth launch coin and organically growing, how did the liquidity work out in that? Was that did you just stand back and wait for anyone who wanted to provide liquidity to bring it in, or how's that been looking for your chart?
Yeah, so when the coin was launched, like a pool got opened, and there was, I remember looking at the pool, it only had like, I want to say like 10 million pulse. Was like not was like on by the end of the first week there wasn't much in there. That was like maybe like $1,000 or $2,000 in there. So it started from very humble beginnings, and then built up over time. As people come and enter the asset, more Pulse liquidity has been injected, and because I didn't make all these pairs at once, originally I just paired it against Pulse. It gave it a much more pure chart with less bot arbitrage in there. And so if you notice, like most of our liquidity is only against Pulse. There's really no other pairs that have any size. I know, shout out to Vets in Crypto. Vets in Crypto has a pair that has like, I want to say like $13,000 of Axis and Vets liquidity in it. So that's like a decent sized pair. Another one was Hexfire. So from the very beginning, Hexfire, there's a coin made by Crispy Man. He had tied these together at the hip, both of these coins. So they actually really do a good job of showing Hart's Law, because there's no other chart on the entire chain that follows these two coins like they follow each other, because of how tied together their liquidity was from when they were born. So this really like shows you here, I'm going to put, this is Axis here on the log, and then here's Fire, and they have the same sort of shape because there was more liquidity between Fire and Axis from those humble beginnings than there was in Pulse value. But over time, the Pulse value grew because people needed to get into the system organically, which fed the liquidity pools. And then these two pairs would get arbitraged between each other by, because not even necessarily by a lot of money, but just by even just like a penny or $1, you can, like a bot would find an arbitrage opportunity between these really thick pairs between Fire and Axis, which would move them together, as it grew. So it's been really, dude, it's been an amazingly fun experience just trying to, getting to learn all these different things like firsthand through the development and creation of a project, and then to see people do so well with it, it makes it even that much better. So we're learning from this chart, we're growing from this chart, and people have made a lot of money on this chart. This guy here that sold this red candle down pulled out 25K in like one sell. And if you look through the history of it and you look at the chain, like there's been a lot of value transferred in this chart. But it's still young enough, and there's still such little supply out there on the market that there's still opportunity. So like in this entire history of this chart, we've done $1.56 million of volume, which is like tiny compared to what you could get like if it gets adopted as like a blue chip, let's say. And in terms of the LP pools, you had another question about LP in there. What was that again? So I can close that thought out.
Oh, I was just asking how, if that grew organically or how you got, because the information on the left side of the screen, that's on your coin, correct?
Yeah, there's like
the 380K of liquidity.
Yeah, that's on this pair. There's some more liquidity on 9mm too, if you go look there. But yeah, that's been up to as high as 500K. That's been as low as 1,200 at the start, and in between it's fluctuated. It's sat around 100K for a very long time during this period of like redistribution. But there's been money in and money out, inflows and outflows during this period. This is where we were kind of stuck around 100K. And then it kind of started to break out, and we got some more liquidity put in there.
Mm-hmm. And then is there a Pulse pair with Axis?
Yeah, this is, so yeah, if I just click, yeah, here it is, it's the Pulse pair. If I'm answering your question, I don't know if I am.
Yeah, Axis and Pulse.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, this is
That one has the same liquidity, or did that not change on the side?
No, so the pair that we're looking at. This is the Axis Pulse pool.
Right.
This is just taking it and denominating the chart in dollar terms.
Oh, got it. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. That makes sense. Yeah, because I was like, you want to be trading against, you want most of your liquidity trading against the native coin, correct?
Yeah. Yep. Because if you're bullish, you can't really be bullish on your altcoin unless you're bullish on PulseChain. Because if PulseChain's set to do a 50 to 100x, your coin will do a 50 or 100x because they're tied together. It's so simple. Like, you don't want to miss that ride. It's like a free ride up in value. But it also can pull you down too. So it's good to see assets like this one that can go up when Pulse is going down as well, right? And that's something you didn't want to look for.
Anhex, the crypto space says, you may have mentioned it, sorry, but when you launch your coin, what portion of coins did you put in LP? What portion did you hold on to? You were saying that somebody put in about 10 million Pulse in the beginning, correct?
Yeah. So what it looks like when you go back and you look at the chain, it looks like it started with just a tiny amount of LP, like very, very small. But that grew within 24 hours in the beginning. So that's how you can actually measure this for yourself. If you go look at a chart and you can like basically hold shift and then click and then measure some time. There was only $1,400 of volume traded in the first 2 days, 12 hours. So to get these kinds of returns, like 123 million% returns in the first 2 days, 8 hours, it implies that there was a very small amount of liquidity to start with to get those kinds of that ratio of price performance relative to volume coming in, for sure.
I'm surprised that liquidity, especially as important as it is in crypto, why it's not something on the charts where you could actually see a line or a graph on the bottom of the screen showing the liquidity raise and fall. That would be pretty sweet. Or am I thinking, did I just invent something that already exists?
Well, so yeah, you're talking about. So we have a community member, and I'll use the hex chart to show
Please
it.
do.
So if if we're looking at hex Ethereum here, you can pull up a chart you can pull up the histogram and actually have it load in on a chart, so you can see where the liquidity is at relative to the price. So here you can see where it's sitting. So this is a little bit different than PulseX. This is Ethereum Uniswap v3 pools, so they're a little bit of a different technology than what we're dealing with on PulseX. But you can actually see where there's bands of liquidity sitting. In the general flow of these sorts of things is where there's smaller bars, there's more volatility. That's the way to think about this is. So the least amount of volatility would happen inside of here because it's the tallest, or the bars that push the farthest to the right. So that means there's more hex sitting here for sale than there is here, for example. That's simple enough. So the way this works is, like, if the price falls down, it's very volatile down here because there's not a lot of liquidity to trade. But if it pushes up through here, it's heavier. And so unless somebody absorbs all of the supply at that price, you can get, it depends. The price will just tend to move versus just telling you what trends could happen, because that's a little harder to tell. I can just say that if price falls down into where there's less liquidity, it's likely to get snapped back because big sell off, big pump back, but there little amount of money transferred, versus up here where there's slower, more methodical moves, more money is being transferred, more volume is required to make the chart move. So this is the equivalent of jumping through the air, and this is the equivalent of like trying to run through a swamp. Just it's heavier. There's more for sale, more for purchase at these levels than there is down here. So that's why limit orders are like kind of unique, because if you set limit orders in here, if the price wicks down, you might get filled on a limit order, for example, and gives you a chance to buy at a better price, and then that'll pop the price back into range, for example. So yeah, there is definitely tools that have been developed. This is a hex specific one. I don't know anybody else that has Uniswap histograms on the chart quite like this one. So huge shout out to Emmy Bop, EM on Twitter. It's at EMIBAP. he's working on getting this so that it auto updates, so that this will constantly dynamically be updating, so we can get the most recent feed. But yeah, this is good for teaching people how to look at liquidity for sure.
Awesome. I like your analogy of going through air versus going through water or something thicker. That makes a lot of sense.
What's going on with your project there, bud? Hexray, aren't you working on some NFT-ish type thing?
Yeah, we're definitely working on it, but our front end is taking a lot longer than we thought it would, and so we're about a couple months out from being ready to audit our code, but we're several months away from the front end being finished. So we'll keep you guys updated on that. And I can't, like, once we get our audits, and then I'll bring out the tokenomics and the fun of it. But until then, we're just waiting. You know. Hexclip says, I know a triple audited coin with no admin keys that basically stealth launched made by an OG hexkin. Is that referring to your coin Axis, or is that Fire? Or
Well, I just used the gopulse.com/mint. So the code is rock solid. It's just an immutable code with a ticker and some number of coins that's fixed. There's no like inflation or anything. So it's the most boilerplate PRC20 you can have. And yeah, it was stealth launched. So I don't know if that's what one he's talking about or not, but yeah, some of those definitely apply here for sure.
Red Squirrel says PulseX already has limit orders. Is he talking about the Tetra or oh no, Omnis?
Omnis, yeah.
Limit orders,
Okay.
right? And then AJ City, Rip City Hex says this is turning into the Axe-Ray show, and I'm totally cool with that.
Hey,
a lot of people.
I'll shut up for a little bit. I know I was hogging the mic.
You're good. The reason I started Tech Talk was so that I could have people like David Feeder and Rags and other people on and ask them the questions that I wanted answered, right? So it was like this selfish thing, but I thought, if I've got these questions, I can't be the only one. And so it's great to have everyone we can on that brings all this stuff to the table. It's what makes this community special, is how much people are willing to share the knowledge that they have. And like you've just brought up 3 or 4 things that I hadn't considered at all in trading and in the ecosystem. So yeah, thanks very much for that.
I know one thing is that for sure is that I like have a lot of appreciation for, you know, I think Crypto Compassion, you fall into this category as well, but Adam really comes to mind as somebody that's always hungry and seeking new information in crypto, and he's always been firm on the stance that this shit is evolving at a rapid rate, and he wants to know as much as he can about everything. And, you know, I think there's like something beautiful there, that not to get hung up on one thing, but also at the same time, the contrary point to that is how much value is in the strong core assets. And if you blend these two mindsets together, you can continually grow that core position by taking opportunities, the places that Adams and Lindsay are looking, and the Verse and Crypto Compassion and all these guys. They kind of like for the Hex Maxis out there, the fringe ones, you know, that look into other opportunities. Like, so yeah, I mean, I think I'm pretty firm that Hex is the GOAT DeFi product that'll be like the value generation and the center of all this craziness that's going on in DeFi. But like, those rich hexagons are going to have to diversify into other things at some point. So, you know, props to you guys for looking into this stuff and not being too stuck and not willing to change worldview, because there's going to be so many passive income streams just on PulseChain, and that's just one ecosystem, you know. So it's like almost endless, and I want to hear more from you guys about that.
Yeah. Go ahead, Adam. Can you talk?
Yeah, definitely. Actually, you talk inside outside the Pulse ecosystem.
I don't care if it's inside or outside. I just want to like make everyone understand like how much is being innovated on, and how into this next cycle, you're basically going to flush out all of the ICO mentality, all of the shit DeFi projects. That's all going to get phased out, and the pets.coms are going to die off. And there's going to be like the Amazons that pop up, the Facebooks that pop up of Web3. And I just, just for you to elaborate on that would be pretty cool. Any of them.
Well, yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that's exactly what's happening. And especially in this space, the technology and AI, things are moving so fast, and they'll continue to move even faster and progress even faster. So once you hear stuff on the mainstream, it's too late. So what I try to do is think, okay, in a couple of years, this, for example, Bank Social is one of the projects that we've been really paying attention to. They were on Binance, on Ethereum, but they're migrating over to Hedera. And it's going to be a decentralized credit union where we're going to be able to, for example, with our internet money wallets, right now in the Bank Social app, you can connect to it with your internet money wallet. So they're going to have all kinds of different DeFi products available for us, whether they're tokenized bonds, whether they're, real estate opportunities. They're going to have specific investment vehicles. And if it's not your cup of tea, they're going to literally work with every credit union that becomes a part of this network. And they're all going to offer different passive income opportunities. And once again, we're going to be able to use our wallets that we have right now. They're all going to be interoperable with Rabby Wallet, Metamask, which I'm trying to get away from, but Internet Money Wallet. Once I saw that, it was like, oh my God, like the light bulb kind of connected, where everyone says we're not going to have a future where it's just different chains. It's going to be about interoperability and all of this liquidity and value coming together. And if I think it's going to be lending where I want to borrow $10,000, I'll be able to put out my terms. I want 10 grand for a year. I'm willing to pay 3%, and across different chains that'll go out, and people that have that collateral, because we'll pretty much be our own banks. We'll have our decentralized IDs. We'll have all that will be squared away. And then it lenders and borrowers, instead of going to a bank, there's a smart contract in the middle of it. So just being able to lend money peer to peer, there's going to be apps for that. There's so many things coming, and I just try to just understand at least where this is going, and that helps you find projects, find partnerships, find opportunities, and it's all about getting ahead of the curve. You have to be, I feel like, buying coins now when nobody's talking about them, nobody cares. And once they make it mainstream, they're your exit liquidity. So you really start to see that's how the game is. And it almost frustrates me sometimes when I'm screaming, some of these projects we've stumbled into, we've found, and when I send them to 10 different people, I get the same response every time. Holy shit, how did I not know about this? This is going to be so big. And when everybody sends that same reaction back, it's like, okay, this is something special. This is something to keep an eye out on. And I'm fortunate where I'm in that position where I get to talk to a lot of different people from different walks of life, different parts of crypto, people that are here every day, people that are business owners that just check in. And when everybody has the same reaction, I feel like that's a good gauge of how the crowd is going to react. So I've really focused lately on like real world assets and DeFi 2.0. I think those are going to be narratives. Obviously games are going to be big, but it's the same thing with your portfolio. How thin do you want to spread yourself out? How much time do you have to put into this stuff? And making crypto as easy as possible. I think that's the best thing for people, and not try to just chase everything you see out there.
Hey, Adam, will you reply to this comment? Oh,
yes, sir. Help me exactly. Help me exactly, and that's what it's about. So, I do consulting. I work with a lot of people, and I'm still waiting for that one person that calls me and says, "Hey, man, I've crushed it so good in crypto. I just want to tell you what I did." And it's always the opposite end. So people that have other projects, when the Richard Hart ecosystem was going down it felt an eternity. We all knew that it's only a matter of time. It's all right. We know we hold, but conveying that message to people, it's very hard. You go watch one video that's a well done FUD piece, it can have you second guessing everything within 5 minutes. So having those other coins, when everything is red, just to look at something that's green, it just gives you that mental, like, okay, I'm going to make it. It doesn't continue to affect you negatively.
And Compassion wants you to talk about RWA.
Yeah, that's just a huge narrative. I mean, you hear Larry Fink talk about it. I mean, it's coming. I think tokenizing everything, that's going to be potentially the metaverse of last cycle, where you just heard metaverse slopped into any pre-sale. That thing was doing X's. So I think this is going to be one of the narratives. But again, you can't just launch these scam projects with these things. They have to have utility. So I don't know how this is going to play out. You know, there's only a few coins that seem to be in competition right now. So unless there's a lot of NDAs, which I feel like is the case, there's a lot of stuff that's being built. It's hard to find. And until they are further along in the launch process or development, you just don't really hear that much. But I've been talking about the real world assets on streams for like a year now. So you can go back and watch probably anyone from the last couple months if we brought up real world assets.
Adam, I'm pretty stoked. I'm going down to Texas here in like 2 weeks, where it's the real estate meets PulseChain. And I probably have about every freaking Web3 / domain that inquires real estate in Hex or PulseChain or PulseX, acquired, because I'm trying to, map out the future of what I think PulseChain can do. And I know that you have a background in real estate, and I really think that could blow up PulseChain if we could somehow integrate real estate onto the blockchain in various ways. Anyways, I'm stoked about this little PulseChain meetup happening in Houston and seeing where it can go. If anyone could make it, they should join. It'd be cool.
Yeah, why don't you give a little bit more information where that is, when that is?
So yeah, RG3 does his PulseChain tours, and he has SJ and Caitlin, and they're out just scouring the entire nation. And they got one coming up in Vegas in March, and they're doing their real estate meets PulseChain. And so they're going to have a couple speakers down there, like Danny the singer, and what's his name? Why does it space me? Dane's partner in crime.
Corey
Gary is going to be speaking. And, it's the whole idea that anybody who does anything profitable in the world, whether it's stocks, or whatever, it all kind of rolls back into real estate in some fashion or way. I mean, if you're a rapper or whatever, you end up buying real estate. And the tokenization of real world assets, we need to figure out how we can get real estate onto the blockchain. And I think PulseChain would do quite well in that space. So, Adam.
Yeah, dude, it's coming, bro. I think the problem with that stuff is the licensing. You know how strict it is to get your license. You have to keep up with your education every 2 years. And I think until legislation is in place, that stuff, it can't thrive like we know it can. So that, and now in an election year, I don't know if they're gonna be really rushing to push stuff through, but you never know. But again, that's opportunity. Like Proby is one of the ones I think of right away that comes to mind. I know that you can buy and sell and list stuff on there as NFTs, but I feel like it still is very early, and it's going to be a huge opportunity. I think on PulseChain especially, we have a lot of these launch pads coming and these incubators where people that don't know a developer, they don't have a clue how to even start. You can just come to one of these, like Pulse Launch, or Corey Costa was interviewing another one the other day. I forget the name of it, but all you need now is an idea, and you submit it on a website, and these projects will bring it to life for you. So I think someone has a creative idea with a project like that, it can happen really fast. So I think it's just only a matter of time before it does come.
Yeah, Adam, you always talk about Texaco, and I think that's all kind of like that. The whole digital nomad community is there's a future there. You know what I mean? As far as a group of hexagons / pulsicans all kind of migrating into a some type of environment where we're all digitally connected and have this thriving economy in various ways. I see it. It's pretty cool to think about.
Yeah, I think, and another thing that's really held back real world assets for a long time is the Oracle dilemma. You know, we had the Oracle dilemma where anytime that blockchain touched the real world, you know, there were problems, there were humans, there were errors, and now Fetch Protocol has come through with the same Byzantine generals problem that Satoshi used, and basically said you put your skin in the game and you have more to lose by giving wrong information than to gain, right? So I think that Fetch Oracle is a game changer, and so I think right now we have enough experience with DeFi and smart contracts and auditing and Fetch Protocol that right now it's the humans, it's the licensing, it's the laws that are holding us back from bringing a lot of this stuff to the public. Moondog says best-selling author David Lee Durr, aka me, will be giving a little speech on the tour as well. So come join us February 17th, and that's in Dallas, right? No, sorry, Houston.
Mm-hmm.
Houston, got it. And then AJ says Crypto Compassion and I are becoming pretty tight, hanging out in Oregon. That's awesome. What do you guys think is holding back, like you were mentioned earlier, access? It's really interesting what you mentioned, the Amazons, the Facebooks, and the Netflix, because I use that analogy all the time where I talk about the .com bust, like you said, what was it, petfood.com or something like that, all those .com busts, and no one knew what the internet was or what it was going to be used for. And you know, Adam's out there, you know, hunting and searching and scouring the weeds for where these next giant projects are going to come up that actually define crypto in the long term, because it's such a new technology that we're all waiting to see where it goes. So I don't know if you want to weigh on that.
I think the regulations just like halting it, a lot of the growth and stifling it in a lot of ways, because there's, you know, you don't even have like 2% of the entire world of developers working on Web3 stuff. They're still working on legacy, you know, Web 2.0 shit. Like, it's because there's no clarity. But in addition, just like, you know, a whole new toolkit. And, you know, I think if you get that clarity, you'll get people coming here to share ideas. Like, there's so many good crypto ideas that get stopped because of some bullshit. Like, why would somebody quit their full-time job and leave their comfort zone to try something that might get shut down? I think that stopped a lot of it, honestly. But, you know, this is the big movement with RH and PulseChain stuff, is bringing DeFi to the forefront and creating that clarity so that the next, you know, big websites can be, or big dApps protocols can be created. Because in a lot of ways, in order for there to be good tools on the blockchain, you kind of got to walk a fine line with some of these regulators. So, you know, I've thought of cool ideas myself, but then it's like, well, that's really cool and new and innovative, but do you want to put yourself in the line of fire by associating it too much and with giving, you know, future expectations? And it's like, you just can't take that risk right now as a developer. And so I think, you know, once that's cleared up, you'll see like a flood of new devs coming in and creating really cool, new, innovative stuff. Can't really, I mean, I could try to think of like an idea off the top of my head. I mean, like, also just like connecting the blockchain to the real world, like you're saying, through technology. Like, imagine there's a RFID specific device that, you know, holds your private key or your NFT or something that gets you access into some private area or into your own home or drives your car. Like the NFT itself, you know, as this system picks up and all these blockchains are running the world, wouldn't it be interesting to sort of have a decentralized neural network, you know, so that there's no points of failure from a centralized authority, but yet this friction-free decentralized cross-border like blockchain network of networks, right? The layer 0 that connects all these things together to make it fluid and seamless, so that the key to turn on your car was literally just an NFT sitting in your wallet. Imagine like that being the case. You have your, there's an infinite number of ideas that you could come up with. But I think, like I said before, it's just regulatory, issues is the main halter of progress in that regard.
Yeah, I like that. We got a shout out to Frank in chat. It's really good to see you, Frank. Check out Parcel, PARCL, for fractional real estate and crypto. They're working on that. Moondog says, Tam, good to meet you at the Dallas meetup last night. Looking forward to future ones. Shout out to Will Stevenson for putting that together. Thank you very much, Will Stevenson. We got Hexagon 720, twinkling the glasses. Moondog getting some love from Tam. AJC says, this community is the revolution. Let's go. Red Squirrel says, Tetra will be the Amazon of PulseChain and beyond. Tam says, we got the best humans in our community. And Norbert Nagy says, this SEC court case might work out in our favor, where Richard and our team can prove that our system is the future without middlemen. Therefore, investors are safe. I love that. And then AJ says, real estate at Crypto Compassion. Not your keys, not your car.
Exactly.
Nice one. Awesome. Oh, that's sweet. So now, as far as the meetups and things that are going on this next year, are there some that you guys are planning on making it to personally, that people can hopefully catch up with you guys IRL this next year?
Oh yeah, I'll be in Arizona. I'll be in Vegas in March. We're bringing a whole crew of Axican Hexicans. They're going to be coming. I think there's going to be like 20 of us. So, come find me at Top Golf on Wednesday, and then on Thursday we're doing a members only meetup midday, and then on Friday I'm pretty sure that's like the big seminar day. So, and then there's an after party and dinner to follow. So, come find me. I'll be there. That's the one I'm talking about right now. Looking forward to getting with DCC and Charlie and RG3 and the crew, SJ and K, and whoever else might show up. It's going to be a blast.
March 6th through the 9th in Vegas, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I've got that one on my calendar.
I don't know if the code expired yet, but if it didn't, you have until midnight tonight, Eastern time, I believe, to put in code access for 10% off if you decide you want to go. So go check that out.
10% off if you use the code access.
Yep.
Love it. What about you, Compassion? Which dates and places are you hoping to hit this year?
I got my flights booked for Houston, February 17th, where real estate meets PulseChain, and I was actually looking about a week ago to put together the Vegas meetup there with you, Access. We'll see. I might just dip in for like a night or two. I don't know if I can take I think it was like 3 nights or 4 nights you guys are doing it?
So you'd show up on Wednesday if you want to come to that event, and then Thursday there's like a small event in the afternoon, and then Friday is the main day. So you'd really only need to, I think if you're coming for the activities, the main ones, you'd show up for Friday. You could probably come in early Friday or Thursday night and then leave Saturday morning.
Yeah, I might just come to kick up dust a little bit, for like a night or something like that. I know Hexray, we had a pretty good eventful time in Vegas when we were at the Power City party, and that was a good time for the community. And it's those in real life meetups that really create the bonds that I believe that this community is like all right time, right place. Synergistically, we are kind of all rowing the boat in the same direction. So it's really, like I said, anytime you get a chance to create tighter bonds, I feel it just strengthens the core and allows us to take on these new challenges of the revolution here.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Moondog says, even the humans aren't all human anymore, we're literally cyborgs using these Black Mirror and projections as extensions of ourselves to share with one another digitally. So, yeah, we're kind of, humans are kind of melding in with the tech as the tech's melding in with the humans, I guess you could say. A lot of people here are cheering on Team Access. Sounds like you've definitely got some people that plan on showing up and hanging out with you there in Vegas. Appreciate the love on the stream. And then Adam, what are you and Lindsay hoping to hit this year?
I don't think we're gonna be able to make it as of right now. We just have too much going on. We were in Florida a couple weeks ago, and then this unexpected stop down to the world of Ragsville. So I'm gonna try, but no promises as of yet. That's great. Yeah, we had a blast last night. We got here a little earlier than we were supposed to. The plane landed early, so we got to meet all these guys out, and it was a great time.
Yeah, I've never gone to anywhere where there are Hexicans and had a bad time in the last 5 years almost, since we started trying to meet up and get together in person. Even when Richard Hart was putting together the 2 years of developing Hex, there were people that were already reaching out and developing friendships and hanging out. So it's been a great ride so far. I think it's just going to get better personally. I want to say thanks so much. If you guys are not subscribed and following the Vibra Finance, Crypto Compassion, and Access Alive, follow them, subscribe to them. These guys put out so much content and so much value. It's insane. So follow them and keep up with them. Thank you so much for being on the show. First of all, you guys are always welcome. Hit me up if you ever want to jump on a stream or Tech Talk. You guys are always welcome. The door's always open. Let people know. We'll start with Compassion. Where can people find you and follow you and subscribe to you?
I kind of got roped into, which isn't a bad thing. I got roped into hosting the Texan Tailgate, and that's a good thing. I love what they're doing. They represent, freedom and sovereignty, and I think that's what we're all kind of searching for. I've been wanting to fire up the old Crypto Compassion stream here and kind of talk about a couple of things as far as not just crypto, but real estate, health, and wealth. But on Twitter, and specifically, it's at John Boy Crypto. On X, and that's where I can be found.
Cool. What about you, Adam? Where can people find you and follow you and get in touch with you for your services and information?
Vibra Finance on Twitter and YouTube, but more importantly, Lindsay just got her Lindsay the Hexican Twitter rugged, taken down permanently. They do not want you posting pictures of making your own bread. So her channel's gone. So she's got a new account. She slays crypto. Vibra Lindsay. Go follow her there on Twitter. Get her up. I think she's got like 60 subs now. So she lost all 2,500 she had, starting from zero for the third time. But we're never going to stop.
Dope name, by the way. She Slays Crypto. I thought that was pretty clever. I like that one.
And what about you, Access? Where can people join the Access Army and get in touch with you and follow all of your information?
Yep. Go if you're interested in anything we got going on over there, go check out accessalive.com/services. Do consultations. I usually get a few of those a month. People of all sorts of walks of life with different kinds of questions, so I can help in a myriad of ways, whether it's trading or market psychology, market making, how to LP, even just the basics. I'm happy to help any way I can. Or you can just sign up for a membership, which is probably the better deal. And you get access to the boardroom where we have some of the smartest and most awesome people in the entire crypto space. And a lot of them have a lot of credentials and a long track record. So it's been growing lately. Obviously, green candles have that effect. And yeah, I just see a lot of good things coming down the pipe. A lot of us will be there in Vegas, so we're looking to meet up with everybody. And you can find me on twitter.com/accessalive. I usually post pretty regularly on there, just any kind of information and updates I'm seeing to try to give you a little bit of free content that way. Usually streaming like once or twice a week. So appreciate you having me on. And I think my next stream is on, when is that? It's RH Max on Tuesday night. So RH Max, I don't know what the topic is yet, but I'll make a post on Twitter when I get hearing back from him.
That's great. Your website is one of the best looking websites that I've seen in crypto. With a lot of the videos and the information there, you got a really nice site. So good job on that.
Huge shout out to Candace in the back. She's helped build the business out. She was my number one believer in what was possible, and here we are. You know, we just celebrated our first year in business, and hopefully many more to come.
Awesome. All right, well, we like to do what we call the awkward wave goodbye here on Tech Talk in some of my streams. So I'm going to kick on a little bit of music, and then I want you guys to give your most awkward wave goodbye. And we'll play some wave here. Here we go.
Yeah, there we go.
Beat.
On the
Rags.
Thanks, guys. Have a great week, and thanks again for a great show. Everyone in comments, if you guys asked a question during the stream that we answered or that we used, you can DM me a shipping address, and this goes for obviously Crypto Compassion and Access. We'll send you guys a Hex Ray Vision t-shirt and some stickers if you guys are willing to divulge us. It doesn't have to be your address, just a shipping address. We'll hook you up. So hit me up in the DMs if you guys are on there. I appreciate you guys so much, and you guys have a great week. Bye.
Thanks.
there you go.